how's it going? I remember, like, of course, that we spoke about this in class. So, you know, looking at where you're at and thinking about how we have 2 weeks left, I think it's probably the way to go would be to start from like this pose here and not worry about the beginning stuff. And we'll just try to work on making like super cool poses. Um, Cause with 2 weeks left, it's a lot to get this into spline and get everything like super solid. So if you're going from this pose to this pose here, right? Like the torso, the upper body doesn't change shape at all. So I think it's important to have some sort of shape change, whether that is like a lean forward from this character's part, or maybe here there are like a little, I do like this kind of line of action you have going here, so I kind of feel like maybe we can do a little something here, like a little lean forward, and like maybe something a little more with the arms, something a little more like exaggerated, something a little bit more, because they feel kind of really samey too here, especially the screen left arm. I could see you're doing some stuff with the screen right arm and the elbow, but maybe we can get a little bit more something in the upper arm and hand. I don't know. And then, this is great, but we're definitely missing like a passing pose here, which is going to be telling a lot of our story, where it's probably, hang on, I don't know how much if you're planning on leaving this character like low to the ground in more of like a stealth mode, or if this is going to be a passing pose of this back foot like coming forward, as this character. I don't know what the arms will be doing necessarily. Just trying to draw something cool as the character comes forward. We're going to need a passing pose to get to this one, right? Because now the feet have swapped. And this is like here. So, we're going to need not only a passing pose, but like some semblance of like a contact pose to get the foot. I mean, this isn't right for your foot placement here. This would have to be backwards in time or whatever, but yeah. And I do think we need to communicate to the audience like what's about to happen. We need to get these arms out earlier to like make contact with this thing, the block. And like here, like the arms down at the side kind of messes up your silhouette, so we got to get those arms out, and maybe they can start coming up here, like whatever the arms are doing, I don't know. But then they hit this block, maybe not at the same time, one can be delayed in time a little bit. So by here, like you already have this like weight being put on the upper torso. Keep these feet. Hopefully there's a toe roll where you can bend the toe, you know what I mean, to get like this shape out of the foot, instead of what I'm seeing is a lot of like this shape where the foot doesn't bend, like this stays kind of straightish. But this is going to be like the runner can put a lot of power up through their leg and through their body if they have that toe planted on the ground, where this like tippy toe thing doesn't really communicate that there's like force and power coming up there. You know what I mean? Yep. I like this back arch here. I don't know if there's any way to get this character that same back arch, but get the character a little bit more upright. You're probably dealing with the arms being short, so you're trying to like bend over so the arms can like stay planted. But see if there's any way that you can kind of achieve that, because the legs can like really tuck up in here. That I'm happy with that. So it's really just about, I think this is going to give you a little bit more mechanically, but I guess I'm looking at your reference and this guy feels pretty leaned over. Maybe not as upright as I've drawn it, and maybe not as leaned over as how you've posed it, but somewhere in the middle here is probably the way to go. But it just feels like a little front, especially with how big this character's head is. It makes it look like the character's just going to fall flat on their face. You know. Anyways. Yeah, the leg poses feel the same between this frame and this frame. I can see the back is arching a little bit between this pose and this pose. But maybe we also need, that's like a fine place to start the rotate up to get them a little bit more upright. And the legs should be continuing their tuck or their journey, you know, like through here. It feels very samey in their pose. As is true here, although that's a much tighter tuck. Maybe we can start to like peek a foot out in front here, start to like bring one out while the other one's still, you know, tucking or something, so they're not so stacked. Yeah. Yeah, and then that'll, if there's a way to unrotate the character, it'll make this transition feel a little bit more justified, you know, if it's a little bit closer to that angle here going into this. Yeah, that's great. I love this straight leg here. That's great. You can even have that hands and arms back more. I would say put them back more and then just get a little, break them up so that they're clear of the body silhouette and they're clear of each other where we can see it. Because here it's like, that'd be cool. Like this feels like a cooler pose. You know, I know you're looking for like dynamic superhero poses that are cool. Having the arms back like this is probably a bit more dynamic and interesting. You know, maybe bring this foot out and forward. And even like tip the toe down on this one. Maybe something like that's a little cooler. Pick up the head a little bit, because you know what I mean by pick it up, I mean rotate it back this way where it's like, it's more like looking forward instead of looking down. I get the impression like this character is looking down. Cool people don't look at what they do. They don't care. They know they look amazing. Yeah, if you could land here with the feet, like kind of not stacked, that'd be great. You know, just a little bit to like get them clear, to get that to be clear. Again, here if the arms are back, that's probably the way to go, especially that's what's happening in the reference and stuff. Get them unstacked here. You can see in the reference like there's a lot of back lean to kind of like catch the weight there. So that feels like that'll give you some place to go here, because then the torso rotates forward to get back in balance and get to this stood up position. This little jump here is a nice little bit, a nice little detail. So I like that. But yeah, maybe here. So just when you get into this, watch your spacing, that it doesn't just stop its horizontal motion. I mean, this is great going from this to this, but I just think for this, it needs to either be a little bit more forward the center of gravity when I say it, or the previous one needs to be a little bit more back. But just so that we don't like completely lose that forward thing, we need like a little settle in the spacing of it. Yeah, hopefully that helps. But yeah, think about, we have 2 weeks left, so think about like getting the spline pass done, so I could at least give you a revision of notes on the spline pass. It's probably going to demand a little bit more time this week than previous weeks, and I know that time's at a premium, but that's why maybe cutting out some of this beginning stuff is going to be helpful, because all that stuff is fun, and it's a fun exercise to try to work through and everything, and I don't want to discourage you from doing it. I just don't, if you have to prioritize because of lack of time, I would prioritize frame 22 on. Even this extra little hop, which is really cool, isn't like as mission critical as just getting the timing and poses and arcs right of like actually doing the vault. That to me is like the most important thing. So focus on the core of it, getting that all cleaned up, and then submit next week. All right. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you need any office hours. I'll be around for some one-on-one time. Hope you have a good week.